CarolinaVeggiestars.com here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm here with my good buddy Steve, who's looking through a couple of different systems and options to convert a Liberty from diesel to waste vegetable oil. I'm going to show him a couple of different kind of systems and hopefully educate you guys as well. So what we have here is a 2002 Volkswagen Beetle TDI. It's a 1.9 with 90 horsepower. If you look at it, what we have in the back here is a 12-gallon tank. It's a heated unit, and they were initially built for snowmobiles. This is a Trekker tank and can be found online at a couple of different locations. Frybrid.com, GoldenFuelSystems.com, PlantDrive.com. I don't advocate for any specific system, but it is an excellent component tank. It's heated by lines that come off of the radiator here. These bypass lines go into an coil element down inside that, which heats the fuel up. It also has a built-in sending unit. All of these do. These tanks run about $400 or $500 depending on the size that you get. This is a 12-gallon. Obviously, because of the size of the boot, I made it a smaller tank. There's some other options we'll show you later for where you don't have to have one in the boot at all, but you can actually sink it down into the spare tire well. I have a tank like that up in the shop. We'll show you a little bit later. This is a Raycor Parker. This is just an off-the-shelf, electrically heated. So right here, you'll see that we have an electrical connection coming in. It pulls about 15 to 20 amps, and it comes in, so the fuel comes out of the heated cell, is your first heat exchanger. It goes through the second heat exchanger, which is the heated filter, and by the time it hits your fuel rail, it's at the minimum at 140 degrees is where you want to be. So 85 to make the switch from diesel over to straight vegetable oil. You move it into the Raycor Parker filter. We're going to get it at 140 degrees, and then we're going to move it up to the front of the engine, which I'll show you. Yes. 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 No, it's not filtered after the Raycor. The Raycor is the final filtration process. The fuel comes in and goes through this is a piece of brass for a fuel pressure sensor. Now, a lot of systems don't come with fuel pressure sensor, but they are the heart of your system. What it tells you is when the filter is full of junk and needs to be changed. It measures vacuum on a negative inches of pressure. Once you're pulling 10 inches of negative pressure of vacuum, you want to go ahead and make that filter change. So this pulls the fuel through the fuel pressure sensor into the Pollock valve. Now, if you see over here, you have your standard fuel filter for the 1.9 Beetle. So this is your diesel coming in here. This is your vegetable oil coming in here. This is your switch, which is controlled by an on-on bat switch. And I can't emphasize enough that you can't go to your parts house and buy an on-off-on switch without making some modifications. You have to order from an electrical house an on-on bat switch because it has to be on in both positions. This valve will only respond if it's on in both positions. It's not an on-off. So don't make the mistake. So many people put systems in their car and they get frustrated, but they have the wrong switch, not the wrong system. So it's an on-on bat switch. This is a little bit unique. This is a three-way valve for the return to ensure that diesel returns to the diesel tank and vegetable oil returns to the vegetable oil tank. And how this works is it's an auto switch that pulls it through, and whenever diesel's running, you have a different suction as in when WVO is running. It ports it back through here, and essentially what this does, you've all your diesel guys, or you wouldn't be watching this. So if you're diesel guys, what happens is when you run a diesel out of fuel, it takes forever to get it started back because you get air in the lines. What this does, it gives you the opportunity to flip the switch over and then crank the key, and it vacuums the air out of the lines for you and then ports that air back into the return. That way you've got no worries about getting it. It pulls fuel up while it's putting air back into your tank for the return. So it's getting the air out of your system, and by simply switching it back, you're ready to fire right back up on diesel. What this means, guys, is no more starting fluid and no more worrying about really messing up your engine by putting too much starting fluid in it. So that's kind of how that system works. And then I'll do a quick interior shot just to show you some of the gauge pod options. You can see on the dash I run 3 gauge pods. One that talks about the fuel pressure. Again, we measure it by inches of lift in HG, and you want to typically keep that under 10. A good filter, I only use Raycor Parker. A good filter will last you anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 miles, depending on the quality of oil is the key. It doesn't matter what else. If you can have the best system in the world, if you have poor oil, you're going to have poor performance with your system. Also, a temperature gauge, and then a gauge which measures the fuel level in the boot. But This is a 2002 VW Beetle. It's been on veggie since it had 7 miles on it. It now has 194,000 miles on veggie. So the system works. So that's this one.
Okay, we got that one. Pause. Go ahead and pause.